All right, we're here today with a really unusual car. It's an F-Type Vauxhall Victor. I'm here with Robin and Cooper the dog, and we're just going to show you around this because A, this is a really unusual car, and this was Robin's first car. So tell me how you got it, Robin.
Oh, many years ago when I was still at school, we used to do, our school used to help out with elderly people doing social work, and this car happened to be in the garage of the little old lady that we used to do social work. Basically we did like mowing lawns and hedges and stuff, so when I went to get the tools out of the shed, there was the car, very faded at the time, and one day I went into the garage and I was looking around the car and I said, she said that she wanted to sell it. So I said, what do you want for it? She said, $300. Oh, okay, well I'm looking for a first car. I was only 14 at the time. So so I went home and got Dad, and Dad came and had a look at it, and he took it for a drive and said, gave it the A-OK, and so we took it home. And basically I drove around the backyard and practiced the clutch and stuff, and did that for a while, and then further down the track, Dad decided the car's probably a bit too old for first car, so I ended up getting another car and sold it to Dad. But he did it up, he got it all looking like this, and by then, that was 1991 when the restoration was finished, and in 1995 I brought it back, and I've had it ever since.
Fantastic. That would have been the best depreciation on a car ever. It was like $10 a year or something, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
And it's so, and you said Pontiac style, these is a GM style and exercise.
Designed by Pontiac.
Yeah, if you look at it, it looks a lot like I suppose the Star Chief or something.
Based on the 55 Chevy, I believe.
Yeah, well they used to call these the baby Chev.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody's American and will instantly recognise that profile if you look around it. So this is a Mark II, so there's some slight differences, eh? Like the exhaust used to go through the bumpers on the Series 1s, which used to make the bumpers rot out almost instantaneously. And that was kind of the problem with the old F-Type Victor. They used to, well, they said if you went into the garage and listened very carefully and quietly at night, you could hear them rusting, which was why you never really see these. They sold these actually in America, and they sold them in Canada as well, which they were quite popular. Despite being a little 1500cc 4-cylinder, 3 on the tree, you can see these. They were called the Envoy in Canada, eh? They had a tradition of selling sort of low-powered British cars to Canada, and apparently Canadians bought them. So if you've got one in Canada, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you look inside, this is where these things get really good. Actually, a lot of these cars we use as drag cars in the UK, or the ones that survived. They turned them into gassers. Well, I know at least one did. Look at the phenomenal Lost in Space Speedo and the Air Ranger radio. Super basic, but really so pretty. And this car is an original interior. Like Robin's dad stitched up a couple of steams in it. But apart from that, this car is a seriously well kept, well looked after, all original car. His dad restored it when he first got it. It's actually quite nice in here. It's quite a reasonable sized car. They're really good. And I guess you'll keep it forever, Robin?
Yeah. Yep. I've had it this long, so I might just hang on to it.
Do you want to open the bonnet and we'll just show them everybody the engine in it? It's great inside. It's just the right size, actually. It's perfect. Everywhere you look on this, it's got some super nice styling touches. Really hugely wrapped around rear window and a front window. Obviously this part here, so when you get in and out of the car, you've got to be seriously careful, because if you can just see, this is normally where you bang the inside of your leg just as you get up, right there on the corner, which is why they less rate the screen later on, of course, cost, because a windscreen like this would cost a fortune to produce today. Little 4-cylinder, 303, 40 kilowatts of raw power, but it drives more like a modern car than you would suspect. Like, this can keep up with normal traffic, it'll potter along quite happily, it's really going to feel. It's a really good sort of like classic car if you can find one. Rust is always the problem, but apart from that, they are just brilliant. And parts now are getting a little bit harder to find. We're probably going to take you for a little drive in it as well, actually, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy because it's a really, really, really cool looking thing. And your dad finally gave this back to you in 1995, eh?
95, yeah.
So Robin's dad borrowed it for a little while and drove around and gave him a Mitsubishi to run around in while he used it himself driving around. So this really is like a two-owner car from new, which is astounding to find these days. And it just looks fantastic. So spacey, and it's a great colour. All right, if you wait a couple of minutes, we'll just show you inside. All right, so here we are off for a quick drive in this. This is really like stepping back in time to, this is a 1960 Series 2. This is Cooper's riding position. He's pretty happy in the front there. Now, anybody who doesn't know what a 3 on the tree is, I guarantee that anybody from this, what we call millennials, they're not going to have any idea how to drive this. They're just going to think it's a big indicator stalk. So all the gears are 3 on the tree, which is 3 on the column, which is the left-hand side of it, you'll see. Yep, just go left here. And even though this car's only got 40 kilowatts of power, it's not that, like, it isn't that slow. Like, it'll happily keep up with modern traffic. It's quite comfortable in here. You know, I've got plenty of room in the back. I mean, you have to imagine this was a mid to large size family car when it came out, right, Robin?
Yep. It would have been a big car back in this day. Not the biggest, but fairly sizable.
They had the Cresta, of course, bigger than this, as the PA that was running the same time, wasn't it? Yeah. So that was the big executive car, and this was basically the standard family saloon, right? Yeah. You won't believe it now, though. It's so pretty in this car. Like, everyone waves and loves it. It looks great, you know. This is the perfect car for just pottering around New Zealand in. The steering on them is quite light and easy to drive. You don't need any power assistance. What's the brakes like on it?
It's not right.
Yeah. Like, I think these were the sort of first generation of cars that had brakes that actually braked, like, fairly well.
Apparently these were designed for the motorway age.
Wow, were they really?
Apparently so.
Well, yes, this one. When did it open? The M, was it 61, wasn't it, or something, I think?
Yeah.
First motorways in Britain, so go right, it is. Let's go right and then left. So yeah, obviously the motorway age meant the cars were then going to do 70 miles an hour. In fact, it was unlimited originally, but they would expect you really to do 60 miles an hour on the motorway, at least 50, 60 miles an hour. These cars had cross-blade tyres, and you know they were a little bit of a handful in the wet, but yeah, otherwise really good. It's quite quiet in here. I can have a conversation. You know, it's a nice little car. It's a nice place to be. A lot of people just want V8s and large 6-cylinder stuff, but these little 4-cylinder British cars are actually kind of fun to drive and easy to maintain. And in this case, just left here it is. These are just ridiculously pretty. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed like a short little ride in this. Just about to come into my yard, which is absolutely jam-packed full of cars as usual. So thanks so much for taking us for a ride, Robin. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming down and showing us your car. And cheers, Cooper. Cooper's just dying to get out and find out the cats that are in the yard. This really makes me want an F-Type Victor or PA Cresta again now. Right guys, well hope you enjoyed that, and so you like and subscribe, and we'll catch up with you again sometime shortly.